Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Oh So Curious Show times MCU Weekly times DCU Daily. I am your host, John. Nice to see you guys. If you don't know who I am, so welcome to the show. We have a whole bunch of we got a stacked list. We got all the things. We have all the links. Dan gave us all the fucking links today. So we got, Ted Lasso coming back. Reacher's doing great numbers. George Lucas revealing on what his plans for the Star Wars franchise would have been if he didn't give it up to Disney. And, got a whole shit ton of quick hits. We're going to be reviewing a spoilery review of Mickey 17, as well as, Russo brothers claiming that that concept art was BS, as well as a lot of DCU Daily and looking ahead to next week on movie stuff. But until then, we gotta get into this show real quick and do that wonderful, wonderful James Bond intro. Oh my God! Look, a Liz appeared. Liz, how are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you? Hello, everybody. I've missed y'all. Happy Friday.
Yes, thank God it's Friday, and we're going to be getting into news stuff. But obviously, we're going to be having our intro. But we have a lot of good news stuff today, so might as well not filibuster. So this damn fucking video isn't 4 hours long. So let's just play the clip that Liz loves so much with that Ryan Gosling Barbie song. I don't get it, but
I love Billie Eilish like dying in the background.
yeah,
That's like
yeah, Margot Robbie laughing her ass off was pretty funny too, and then the
pretty
slap
great.
as well, great stuff. Anyway,
No.
let's get into it.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
Robert
You're
Downey.
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the.
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see Cole's.
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow! Wow!
Amazing. Now we just need to, before we get into it, for this intro, until we get like a new intro, we gotta have like a banner that shows up every time, like The Rock and John Cena, and it has to say "Now Kiss," and then
Yeah,
like
100%.
like
Well,
just,
you know what it is? It's because of the music in the background.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why,
the
like,
Joker
every
music in
time
the
I'm
background,
Like, when are
like-
they gonna kiss already?
when are they gonna kiss? God damn it! Anyway, let's get into. And speaking of kissing, nice wholesome interactions with people, let's get into the most wholesome thing on television back now again. Hang on. Why is this? Okay.
The best news of 2025. Woohoo!
That's not saying much because there's only 3 months in, but I
Yeah, but
never
it's
watched the show. So,
adorable.
Liz, what are your thoughts on this? Even though we kind of already know now.
I shed tears of joy when I read this headline. It's been rumored, it's been talked about, it's been teased. It's official! It's official! Ted Lasso season 4! I mean, like, it's probably not coming out until next year, but that's fine. That's fine. Just knowing that it's absolutely, definitely happening. Oh my God. I'm so excited. So excited. Can't
That's
wait.
great.
Can't wait. I wish I had worn my Ted Lasso shirt today.
That's okay.
I have 3 of them.
But I don't know much about Ted. I mean, I know the basic gist. My family like fucking
It's just the greatest show that's
worshipped its feet for
Yeah.
all 3 seasons when it was
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So I know like the basic gist. Got American coach goes to Britain to sort out a soccer team and he's like Superman. He's just a good guy, good
No.
moral driven guy.
Underlying, it's all about mental health and supporting one another no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the two messages that are really, really important and shine through in the whole show. And it's just so fucking good. It's so good. It's the best.
So it's because I've seen not a mixed response. It's mostly positive because they're like,
anyone
hey,
who has something negative to say doesn't go to therapy and needs to. So
I'm saying like people are like, well, here's the thing. I think I've seen some people that are like, I love the show. It's a great show, but it should have ended with season 3.
False.
I don't think another season was necessary.
No,
what are your thoughts
again,
on that?
they kind of set it up. They had told us that Jason wasn't coming back. That was the whole premise because spoiler alert, he moves back to America. His character moves back to America, leaving behind his assistant coach, and the owner is in a better place. The owner of the soccer team is in a better place. So that was the anticipation was that any continuation of the show was really going to be more of like a spin-off of the show rather than an actual continuation of the first 3 seasons.
Right.
So for him to say he's returning, I'm a little surprised by it, but obviously he's going to be doing the bulk of the writing as he did for the other seasons. But I have a feeling he's going to make kind of like, if anything, I would expect him to make more cameos than a full-fledged full-time character, but we'll see what happens. I don't give a damn. It's amazing. It's going to be amazing. And I want more and more and more and more. So this makes me very, very happy.
It's very interesting because it's like the way you were explaining that before we started was like, how can you have a Ted Lasso show without Ted Lasso? That just doesn't feel like it makes sense.
Again, and if they are calling it Ted Lasso, I'm surprised by that as well. But again, if he's coming back as a full-fledged main character, then okay, then go ahead and call it Ted Lasso. But I don't know what the thoughts were on the title if he weren't going to be a part of it, but I don't care. I'm excited. I can't wait. It's going to be great in any iteration with any members of the original cast. I'm a happy lady. This is going to be fantastic.
Caleb pretty much being all agreeing like it only gets better. The only thing I know is that it's a comedic soccer show. Hopeful and positive messages.
It's very deep. It's very deep.
So I assume, and it's one of those things where it's like my buddy. We're gonna be reviewing the new Looney Tunes movie tomorrow for my channel. And so I'm gonna be chatting with my friend. Now, my friend, he absolutely hates the existence of Ted Lasso purely because it's one of those shows. He's like, I know nothing about it. I don't care. It's just one of those shows where it was like just shoved down your throat for its running time. So he's like, out of spite, I hate the show and I don't want to watch it. So I'm gonna be like, hey, buddy, guess what's returning for season 4?
He's one of those people that needs to seek mental health care. This is what I'm talking about.
I don't know about that, but I just know that he just like, because I was kind of the same way with like Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad, because like you just saw it everywhere and every person was like, you need to watch the show. It's the greatest thing ever. And out of spite, I'm like, well, now I don't want to watch it because everyone's being a schmuck about it.
To be fair, I did start both of those shows probably 3 seasons in each. I think Breaking Bad was actually completely wrapped before I started it, but they have told you no lies. Breaking Bad is incredible. Game of Thrones was wonderful until the last season. So your friends are not steering you in the wrong direction. Don't.
No, I know. I mean,
don't
maybe
be a cynical, spiteful, grumpy Gus. And
I mean, here's the thing. Considering I know that like it is like a very positive show that makes me want to watch it. And with season 4 and Jason Sudeikis coming back, maybe I'll finally sit down and watch it. Like, because there was like that Squid Game was another one where I'm like, oh, everyone and their grandmother was like, this is the greatest show ever. And then I'm like, well, now I don't want to watch it.
It's the Great British Baking Show of sitcoms. Like, leaves no crumbs, makes you happy every time you watch it. It's impossible to.
I don't know.
It's just delightful.
I do like the whenever I watch
even the deep heavy stuff. It's important. It's necessary. You'll get through it. That show, I can't say enough wonderful things. I'm just so fucking thrilled.
I know for a lot of people, season 3 was like the weakest because it kind of went like weird. It was like really long and they were trying to shove a lot in the final season. so like a lot of plot threads. So there was like longer episodes, and the pacing was weird. That's the only like bad thing. Like it was like paced weird. That was the only thing like I heard like bad things about season 3. But I'm still, I'm still open to. I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, fuck this show. But it's like I can kind of understand people being like, I was inundated with it for like so long that I'm like, iffy on the show.
I will say the tone of season 3, and I think it's because they weren't expecting to come back and do any more. I think they were like, this is the final. We need to just wrap up this storyline with one character in particular. So it was definitely, I wouldn't say darker, but it was heavier than the previous 2 seasons, as we were going to get to know the characters and develop a relationship with all of the cast.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's just completely necessary, and it's something that everybody should watch, regardless of your background or your interests, because it's got something for everyone. And it's just, I can't say enough wonderful things. And
and there's a lot of British actors I like. I know Anthony Head is in it. Giles from Buffy.
He's actually a real douchebag, and it makes me really upset. But
he plays a good
plays a great douchebag. So
and then like maybe I'll finally give it a watch. But I because like from like it's one of those things I'm like, I refuse to watch it because everyone's telling me to watch it, so now I don't wanna. But then being like, I kind of really want to watch the show because I really like the vibe. So maybe I'll finally sit down and just be like,
you should. You really
I'll watch
should.
it. I'll watch
I mean, for God's sakes, they have a whole thing about shortbread cookies, to the point that Stu Leonard's has come out with Ted Lasso.
I've had them.
Okay.
Because I literally because my mom and I go to like, I don't know, like once a month. We go to Stu Leonard's because it's such like it's not a normal grocery store. It's like so different. It's like it's an experience. And we saw them. We're like,
anyone who's not in the East Coast in the States, you don't understand. But
there was like a fucking like placard of Jason Sudeikis. It's like, hey, try the Ted Lasso cookies, and I'm like, guys, since you guys watch the show, we got to get these. They're like, all right, we got to get them, and they're really good. I've made home like shortbread like that. I've like made it with my sister, and it's good shit. It's fucking good, man. Like that, the butter in it, like it's like fucking 4 sticks of butter. God, so fucking good. Anyway,
great news. This is great news.
Very exciting for Ted Lasso fans. But going from one great show to another, exciting for Reacher fans, because apparently Reacher season 3 scores biggest premiere yet, and apparently the show gathered more than 54 million viewers worldwide in its first 19 days. Now, I watch Reacher. I haven't watched the newest episode that came out yesterday from when you guys are watching this, from when we're recording this, but I did binge most of the episodes with my dad, and I will say season 3 is probably the weakest season so far, but it's still really good. Like it's not bad or anything, but like it's really nice that like because I know the fans of the books by Lee Childs are like, they're really like into it because it's like Alan Ritchson was like almost as perfect a Reacher as you can get. And I like the overall vibe where he's not just an action guy or not just a smart guy. He's both, even though I don't know if Alan Ritchson can fucking do that very well, but I like that vibe. And I didn't mind I never watched the sequel, but I didn't mind the Tom Cruise movie. But I know a lot of book fans were like, fuck this piece of shit because he's a midget who isn't look bulky. Right. So
everybody wanted The Rock to be Reacher in those films. That's what I mean,
he has even less acting ability than Alan Ritchson though. So whoopsie-daisies. But I think this is great. Like I genuinely believe this is great because I do really like the show. It's not like highbrow entertainment, but it's also like not lowbrow entertainment either. It's like kind of somewhere in the middle. And I think it's awesome. Keep Alan Ritchson here. Keep him away from Batman. Just have him stick with Jack Reacher.
Keep him out your mouth, John. You make me mad.
But for a big Alan Ritchson fan like yourself, do you watch Reacher? And if you are, I have seen episodes, but no, I've not actually. Again, it's on the list one of these days. But I'm watching other things, and now I'm watching stuff specifically for this show. So. Watch
Sorry.
it. It's great stuff. But I love the show. Uh, Caleb being like, Rock would change the hierarchy of Reacher forever by getting it canceled because that's what he did for Black
100%.
Adam. Anyway, Reacher looks
100%.
roided out. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the point.
Listen, just because they put him in schmediums. Hi, Manos.
Well, I mean,
Anyway,
there
leave
was
my
a
man
video.
alone. Leave him alone.
There was like a video that came out of like a exercise scientist of being like, Alan Ritchson claimed all this stuff about his workouts, and an exercise scientist is like, yeah, that's kind of bullshit. So
he
the
says he
idea.
just does whatever he feels. Like he says he has no set routine.
It's
He
like,
just
bro,
goes in and
we
does
know
whatever.
you do roids. It's fine. It's like pretty much it's like it, because even John Cena said this, where it's like it's pretty much an open secret. Like as long as you
Yeah.
don't like openly talk about it,
Yeah.
they do it, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like we know you do. It's fine, but like don't act like, oh, this is achievable. It's not
Yeah,
achievable.
apparently Steve-O from Jackass is now doing like a version of them too. It's a whole thing. But yeah. But he's openly talking about it, so I don't know. Anyway.
Protect moi balls. I don't know what you're saying.
Protect my
Anyway, but also,
balls.
hello, Manos. I know Liz said hello, but I'm saying hello now. But this is great. I think it's a good show. I think it's just one of those things with season 3. Obviously, I won't like spoil things for people who haven't watched it yet. But I was like, okay. So I said this. I literally paused the show and I said this to my dad. We were on like the 4th or 5th episode because I think they're now 6 episodes in because I haven't watched the newest one yet. I turned to my dad. He's like, look, and I said, I'm like, look, this show is not like, I'm not going to act like it's like Breaking Bad or like higher like The Sopranos or anything like that. But I'm like, and also the fact I'm not like incredibly smart when it comes to like military shit and like,
I may not be a
being
smart man.
Yeah, I'm not an idiot, but I'm also not Reacher levels of smart. But I'm like, I'm watching this show and they're like, and I'm like, Reacher, why don't you do this? Why doesn't this character do this? Why were you not there? Why didn't you do this? And it's like the writing has
This
been
is
pretty
coming from
tight.
the same guy who loves horror films, where the characters classically always do the wrong and confusing.
Well, that's mainly in slasher movies, but I think it's also like, it's like if it's so glaringly obvious in terms of like, at least with slashers, there's kind of like a level of suspension of disbelief, but with like a character, especially a character as smart as Reacher, the fact that he's not doing like certain things that a military guy with tons of smarts should be doing, it's like you're breaking the level of suspension of disbelief a little bit. So I'm like, and the thing is, I can't get into it because I'm gonna spoil shit. I don't want to spoil things for people, but I'm just like, why don't? So the writing is not quite as tight as it was in previous seasons. I will still say season 1 is the best season by far, but I still think it's a really good show, and I'm glad that it's like doing better, which is hopeful for a season 4, because I would love to see this thing run for as many seasons as it can. There's so many books that there's like fucking like 20 books in this series.
That's how I feel about Ted Lasso, baby.
So, it's different because like this has like a lot of source material you can do. So I'm like, oh, that would be great if they could like do that for like the future. Like so many books could be adapted. So I'm hopeful for a season 4, and this seems like it's good for a season 4 because I would want to see this show continue because it's great stuff. So, but last but certainly not least, although the saddest news because it involves Star Wars and gotta fucking talk about it. Apparently George Lucas was getting into it with his axed Star Wars series, Star Wars Underworld, would have cost $40 million an episode and would have blown up the franchise. Disney would have never bought Lucasfilm if it got made. Oh, the what ifs, the hopeful what ifs that we could have gotten. But I remember this being talked about years and years and years ago, but this was like getting into more specifics. I remember like people doing videos on it of like Star Wars Underworld, and it's such a fucking really cool idea, such an innately fucking awesome idea.
Now that there's buzz about it and that he's talking about it, do you think Disney's gonna go back and be like,
No.
all right, let's see the scripts?
No, because they didn't do the same thing for when they were doing the end of the Skywalker saga with 7, 8, and 9, because like George Lucas is like, hey, I have a plan. Here are my scripts for a sequel trilogy, and they're like, awesome. Garbage. So
yeah, but I had
then they're
also
like,
heard that was a lot of that was Ryan like JJ had gone to Ryan and was like, okay, so this is the direction that we're headed in, and Ryan was like, "Meh, I don't
yeah,
care,
that
do
sounds
it my
about right.
way."
But I mean,
So
I've heard so many conflicting reports in regards to the sequel trilogy that it's like, oh, we did have a plan, but it got skewed. We didn't have a plan at all. We had
yeah,
a plan, and then this way, it was like, it's a whole bunch of shit. But this was a very interesting article to read. I think, talking about this, oh God, it would have been so fucking good. So he was talking about how we had over 60 scripts, like third draft scripts, noting they brought the most wonderful writers in the world to Lucas's Skywalker Ranch to map out and pen the series. These were dark scripts. They were sexy. They were violent. They were absolutely wonderful, complicated, challenging scripts. Everything Disney Star Wars is not. So I think it. Now here's the thing. I'm not gonna act like I'm a George Lucas apologist. I will say this: the prequel trilogy still fucking sucks. Does it suck less than the sequel trilogy? Yeah, but the shit I took last night is better than the shit I took the night before. That's not saying much. Like, I will rather take a terrible vision from a filmmaker than a terrible vision from a corporation. Like, bar none. Like, say what you will about Spider-Man 3 by Sam Raimi. That was still, for the most part, his movie, even though there was a lot of studio meddling. That was still a Sam Raimi movie from beginning to end. Like, then you have like Spider-Man Homecoming, which is so like innately corporate checklist crap that I'm just like, it's not even comparable what the better movie is. So that's what it is here. Like, I'm not gonna act like George Lucas was like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Oh, the prequels are vindicated, blah blah blah. I'm not gonna act like that. Phantom Menace sucked, Attack of the Clones was even worse, and Revenge of the Sith is mid. Yeah, I fucking said it. But it's just like, from the way this sounded, because I remember watching a video on it like years ago, and about how like just like really interesting. It was pretty much what the the original directors for Solo, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, what they wanted to do for Solo, like have it like be this really dark, seedy underworld.
yeah,
And have it get the fuck out of here, Jesus. How they pretty much want to do this like really dark, creepy kind of thing with it, and then they were like, "Well, you're taking too long because, we have limits and shit. So get the fuck out of here." And then they hired Ron Howard, who is like a safe director for them. So then we got Solo, which was not very good, but it definitely would have. It now could it have been good, could it have been bad? I don't know, but at the very least, it would have been a vision from a filmmaker. It would have been at least something, at least kind of interesting. I don't know if I know you still watch Star Wars stuff and you still like it. I know I'm pretty cynical in regards to it. Sorry, I've
I
gotten so
completely
tired
agree
of
with
it and all
your
that. But
I completely agree with your sentiment on the prequels and the other films. So they're hit or miss for me half of the time. Again, like the writing is a big deal. So I get it.
yeah,
I get it. I mean, it's a shame if it really was as good and thought provoking and interesting as they say it was. But again, this is coming from somebody who has not exactly given us, home runs every time. So I don't
exactly.
know, but oh
But
well.
at the end of the day, it could have been something at least intriguing. Intriguing, I think, is the right word, because intriguing could mean good. Intriguing could mean bad. Intriguing doesn't like, oh, that's very intriguing. Like, it could have been almost there. It could have been something, and something is more than what Disney has given us for the past 10 years. Oh God, it's been 10 years. Jesus Christ. since I know they've had it since 2012, but I mean like 10 years since their first project under the Disney Lucasfilm Corporation. But yeah, I think it would have been intriguing, but I don't know if it would have been great or anything like that. But yeah, it's Star Wars is a cruel mistress at this point.
No, truly.
I mean, I hate to be like, I know it may be surprising for people, but I do hate to be so cynical because I do love the original movies. I think the prequel trilogy has some good moments.
Yeah.
And Force Awakens isn't like the worst thing ever, but it's just very sanitized. So it's just like, eh. But it's like, because I grew up watching, I mean, I'm like so many fucking other people. I grew up watching this movie. And the original Star Wars trilogy is still one of my favorite like stories of all time. One of my favorite trilogies. It's some of my favorite movies. So it sucks to talk about that, but it's just like, and it's not even like out of hatred. Yeah, I make fun of Disney Star Wars a lot, Disney in general, but Disney Star Wars mainly. But it's just like, it's mainly like, I feel like, what was it, Michael Clark Duncan in The Green Mile? I'm so tired, boss. I'm so tired. Like, that's kind of what it has become, unfortunately. Which is sad, but it's just what we have to live with. But here's the thing. I will say this. I always say this. I always try to say this because I don't want to be a total asshole, obviously. If you still like Star Wars, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
enjoy
happy with the fact that people can still find joy in it because you're finding joy in something I can't or won't or whatever the
Dan, you're
wording
driving.
is,
Stop texting.
So like if you find joy in that, that's fucking awesome, bro, or gal, or whatever in between. Then you do you. That's great. So I don't want to, yuck the yum. I don't want to, treat people like shit based on an opinion or anything like that. So yeah, I would like to also say that real quick because I know because I don't want to be like a Snyder bro where I'm like, fuck you for existing if you like this thing. So do have to mention that real quick, but I will go into John. Fuck you, Caleb.
But I will say that if you don't like Ted Lasso, then fuck you for existing because that just doesn't.
All right, we're trying not to be mean here. We're not trying to be mean here, but anyway, let's get into quick hits. I think that's a good thing, right? Let's hit that. Yeah. Let's hit that elevator music. There we go. Okay. God damn, Liz, you can be cruel sometimes.
It's just honesty, man. It's just honesty. Ted Lasso is for everyone. Just like Wu-Tang. Ted Lasso is for everyone.
I guess. Kind of. Okay.
I mean, Wu-Tang's for the children, but.
I don't know. I don't listen to DJ playing. Anyway, let's get into quick hits. So apparently, Daniel Radcliffe has joined the Tracy Morgan NBC comedy pilot from 30 Rock team. Thoughts?
This tells me all I need to know. This show is going to be absolutely unhinged. It's going to be a train wreck, and I'm here for it. It's going to be great.
I had to blow my nose. Did you watch 30 Rock or no?
Oh, I sure did.
Okay.
I sure did.
I watched some episodes here and there. I never watched the show.
It is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. The best thing Alec Baldwin's ever done.
Damn. Okay. Landman. I have never heard of this show until now.
We talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Renewed for season 2 at Paramount Plus.
Yep.
Thoughts?
Never saw it. Heard it's great. Good for them.
Cool. I have no recollection of talking about this show whatsoever.
I think we talked about it around like the Golden Globes and
probably. I don't. That's like for my brain. That's like 110 years ago. I'm like, I don't have time to think about that shit. Anyway, so apparently, the White Lotus, Succession, and House of the Dragon coming to Korea's Kupang Play in major Warner Brothers Discovery deal. I think I remember vaguely talking about this. Thoughts?
Hey, good for them.
Cool. Wow,
Dan,
what is
stop
Jesus, these
commenting while
ads.
you're driving.
Anyway, sorry. AJ Devinky? No,
AJ Devin.
Devin with you need another vowel in there, my guy. Launches generative AI storytelling venture Prismix. Thoughts?
I love AJ Devin, so I'm excited for them, and it's going to be great. Good things. Good positive things.
Fuck
Thank
AI.
you, Caleb.
Anyway. But Barry Jenkins is in talks to direct Glenn Powell in sci-fi thriller The Natural Order. The Universal movie is based on Matthew Aldrich's unpublished manuscript. Thoughts?
I'm here for it. You all know how much I love Glenn Powell, so
Look at that face. How can you not love that? Look at that fucking jawline. Look at that fucking. That is
two of them are rather attractive.
Both of them. But I'm just saying that.
I'm all for
that
attractive
jawline.
people
That's
doing
like
things.
that's
Good
like
for
the
them.
Giga Chad jawline right there.
Oh, it's pronounced AJ Dev Gunn. Is it really, Dan? And I'm glad you're no longer mobile, so I'll stop yelling at you. AJ Dev Gunn. Go ahead, baby.
Okay.
Yeah, Glenn Powell in a sci-fi thriller. Yeah, I'll be seeing
Cool.
that.
I'm super stoked for The Running Man. I'm super stoked for that later this year. But Prison Break reboot. Pilot casts Emily Browning, Lucas Gage, Drake Roger. I know two of those people. Thoughts?
I know all of them. I've never seen a single episode of Prison Break. I have absolutely no interest in it whatsoever. But hey, good for them. Get that cash, baby.
Yeah. I've heard Prison Break is a great show. Wentworth Miller, Dominic Purcell.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of Wentworth, so I was like, meh.
But yeah, cool. Way to go, guys. Apparently, the first trailer for Sneaks, starring Anthony Mackie and Chloe Bailey as a pair of sneakers who get separated from each other. It's going to be in theaters on April 18th. Thoughts?
I mean, I'll see it. I like both of them. It sounds like a cute idea.
Cool. I think
it'll be one for the kiddos.
I think this was a trailer that was before the day the Earth blew up, but I missed it because I missed all the trailers. Yeah, this looks dumb. Anyway, so the first official look at Peter Dinklage as the Toxic Avenger.
Not only Peter Dinklage, Elijah Wood's in there.
Yeah, he disappeared like a while ago, but
bro.
yeah, this looks.
Kevin Bacon. That's what it looks like.
This looks fucking amazing. I'm so stoked
I'm,
for it.
I'm here for it, man.
I've seen the original Toxic Avenger. Such a fucking weird movie. It's trauma, so it's like obviously it's weird, but I mean, this was like because this was put like on indefinite hold because nobody wanted to buy it and distribute it. But after it was finally like, they're like, oh no, we're doing this. We're gonna release it in theaters. I was like, let's go. I do like Macon Blair. I think this is his directorial debut. He's a really good actor. Hopefully he's a great director. He's a huge fan of the series. So yeah, I'm stoked for this. Look at that. Look at that fucking beautiful man right there. Fucking amazing. Beautiful. Love it. Let's go. God. And I love Elijah Wood too. He's looking like Oswald Cobblepot right here.
So bad.
I fucking love it. I love it so much. I can't wait. I fucking can't wait for Toxic Avenger.
He's like, the original Daniel Radcliffe. Like he only does like bizarro shit. After Lord of the Rings, he's like fucking crazy. I'm not doing it. Yeah.
I don't fucking need to do anything. Him, Robert Pattinson, and Daniel Radcliffe just do weird shit now, and let's fucking go.
Yep.
And no, so apparently, Kevin Conroy is confirmed to have a role in Netflix's Devil May Cry anime. Yeah. It's possibly his final voice acting role, which they've said for the last 16 voice acting roles. It was Kill the Justice League was going to be his last. Then it was his voice cameo in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and now it's Devil May Cry. Now, I'm not complaining that we're getting more Kevin Conroy after his passing, because Kevin Conroy is amazing. We love Kevin Conroy. We will forever love the greatest Batman we have ever gotten. So I might watch it now because of him, because he is now like confirmed to be in it, even if it's probably not going to be for very long. But yeah, thoughts?
I won't see it, but hey, good for Kevin. And I did just hear Mark Hamill on an episode of the Smartless podcast where he talked about how if Kevin signed on for it, he would do it sight unseen. He said he didn't care. He loved working with Kevin. He loved being a part of anything Kevin wanted to be a part of. So, hey, that's great. Wonderful thing for his legacy.
Yeah, most definitely. So I might have to give this a watch now, even though I don't like anime. But the teaser for Mike Flanagan's Life of Chuck dropped a couple days ago. And speaking of Mark Hamill, fucking stoked because I absolutely adore Mike Flanagan with every fiber of my being. And I really like Stephen King adaptations. And Mike Flanagan is up there with Frank Darabont as the guy who continually does some of the best Stephen King adaptations.
I mean, and the cast is just stacked.
And the cast is, and you're going to see it at the end of this teaser. It's absolutely stacked, and you know what? I'm so happy for this. Like,
and again on the Smartless podcast, Mark Hamill had nothing but wonderful things to say. He's really hyped for this project. He's really looking forward to people seeing it. So I'll be in the theaters checking it out for sure. I can't wait.
Yeah, and it looks like what I'm excited for.
And I'll have met half of those people at Comic-Con by the time it comes out.
And what's so great about it is that it looks like Mike Flanagan is like pushing the boundaries of what he usually does, because he's been strictly horror for the most part. I mean, he's done like some other stuff, but like Life of Chuck seems to be more drama driven, more like Shawshank Redemption, where it's more like drama character driven piece. And I'm stoked for that Mike Flanagan's pushing the kind of like Osgood Perkins with The Monkey this year, which was more like comedy than horror, than the atmospheric horror he did before. So this is awesome. Can't wait. Fucking love you, Mike Flanagan. Just like Robert Eggers, I will kiss your feet. Anyway, speaking of great directors, he's not directing this, but Alex Garland says 28 years later is influenced by The Last of Us. He also believes the writing in the games is far better than his in 28 Days Later. It's so much more sophisticated. I was like, shit, it made me raise my game. Thoughts?
I've yet to see any of these projects, but that's cool. And the Last of Us reference does make sense to me, even though I've not seen it, or I've not seen any of these other previous films. But I plan to see the films because I do want to see 28 Years Later. So, yeah. Cool.
Ouch. Glad he realized. I don't hate 28 Days Later. It's a little overrated, but it's still a good movie. I prefer 28 Weeks Later. I'm so stoked for
Murphy, man.
I'm so stoked for 28 Years Later because that is easily the best trailer we've ever gotten since
and that cast
Alien.
is back too, yeah.
Yeah. Like, and the thing is, I might make fun of Last of Us Part 2 a lot, but I know the first Last of Us is a great game and the writing and all that, and so I'm like, I'll let it slide for now. But like, yeah, I'm still stoked for this. Great cast, great writer. Finally made something good after Men, which was terrible. Civil War was great. I think Alex. I mean, it's a shame he's not going to direct more after
Civil War was great.
After how amazing Civil War was, but he does what he wants to do, so whatever. Anyway, final quick hit is it is Sir Michael Caine's 92nd birthday today. So happy birthday, Michael Caine. Sir Michael Caine.
All over my feed today, and now I know why. Happy birthday, Michael Caine.
So, and remember, we haven't failed you, Michael, because I failed you. We didn't fail you. We didn't fail you, Michael Caine. But anyway, that's it for Quick Hits. I'm sorry, we're going to have to turn off the music. But it's going to take a while because Dan has way too much display. We need to get rid of some of this shit. Like, goddamn. Anyway, let's move on to our movie of the week. We're going to be talking about, what are we going to be talking? We're going to be talking about Mickey 17. So, with Mickey 17, now I already kind of talked about it, like spoiler free. So I'm just gonna let you start with your thoughts on Mickey 17. So have at it. Let's go.
I mean, given the political climate right now, Mark Ruffalo plays an Elon Musk type character where he thinks he's the smartest man in the room and he's going to be the one that saves humanity by shipping a select few of us off to a remote planet and rebuilding. But in order for that to happen, they need to kind of be able to combat anything that planet might have to throw at them. Here comes Mickey 17. He's trying to escape from his home world because he made some wrong decisions, decides to become an expendable, which is basically like, you guys can kill me 500 different ways as long as I agree to be reprinted. So they use him as like a crash test dummy of a sorts and say, hey, go out to this planet. We're pretty sure there's an airborne virus. We need to collect data from your deceased corpse in order to create an antidote so we can live on this world. So that's, one of the many situations they put him in. Unfortunately, at one point, he gets stranded on that planet. They leave him for dead. They assume he's dead, so they print another one of him. He gets back on the ship, and oh shit, now there's two of them. Chaos ensues, hilarity ensues. It's a good time. I really enjoyed it, and that was just a very brief synopsis. But John, I'm sure you've gone into more detail about it. I loved it. It was a wild ride. Rob, okay, what is that hair, Rob? Robert,
that looks like straight up out of the 90s. Goddamn, they look like
terrible
tips.
Was he trying out for NSYNC? That's terrible. But no, Robert is delightful. His accent cracked me up. He has so much more range than people give him credit for, because he does kind of have to play like multiple versions of himself in this as well. And at one point he even talks about like, Mickey, I was told Mickey 15 was a big crybaby and Mickey 13, lived for all of an hour, so it's interesting. But I loved it. I thought Toni Collette was amazing. It was a really good time. What more can you say? It's a fun little sci-fi, what do you call it? Dramedy. There and again, not completely unrealistic to the bullshit we're living in right now. So and even the they were trying to make like and I can't even say aliens because it's their planet, but the aliens that inhabit the planet they land on, they tried to make them scary, but they were cute as fuck. They were like tardigrades mixed with pill bugs, mixed with, I don't know, wombats. They were so damn cute. So I just love everything about this movie. Check it out, gang. Check it out.
Yeah. So I did give my quick thoughts beforehand with Dan, who didn't really like it as much, but I really liked it. But it's one of those things where it's like the second half of the movie is so fucking good, and that's the second half of the movie, and especially the third act is like a 10 out of 10 almost for me. Like that was
and each act is almost so wildly different from the one before too. And
it's I really liked how it just ramped up. The third act was so fun. I was so into it. The second act, where we get a lot of the interactions, which is why I left it on the screen, between 17 and 18, was really good. We get more of Mark Ruffalo, insane performance, and Toni Collette going crazy. I really liked it. However, the thing I didn't like, I felt that the first half of the movie was painfully slow. I think it was not boring because I was still intrigued with what was going on, but it was at a certain point, I was feeling the running time, and which is kind of a shame because I'm intrigued. I want to know more. I want to see more. I like these characters, but it's just something about it was my eyes were starting to droop. And
do you think it was because they kind of gave it all away, the first half of the film, they kind of gave it all away in the trailer by showing that he
could
dies
entirely
multiple
be
times, and and I just want to quickly, because Manos has the question about, does the movie deserve its budget? In my opinion, yes. Again, the like tardigrade alien type things at the end of the film, there was literally thousands of them. So like just the CGI budget alone for them to create that and make it look as realistic as it did, it makes sense to me. And I did love the future, the what do we call it? Retro future, futuristic retro vibes. Um,
It's like blue collar future kind of vibes.
Yeah, where they're like they're making clones of Mickey, but yet they're still like picking up the phone to like call their supervisor. And
Yeah,
I just
very.
I dug the styling of it. I
Yeah,
dug the
that's like
the cinematography, the
that's a lot
production,
of like
everything.
70s sci-fi. Like Outland is another
Yeah,
good one where it's like it's supposed to there. It takes place on a fucking like Titan or Io or one of the moons
yeah,
of like
right.
Jupiter, but
Yeah,
it's like they still have like because there's a scene that takes place in a kitchen. They still have like regular like beat food processors
right,
and
right,
shit
right.
like that, and
Yeah,
it's like you could tell it's like kind of futuristic, but they still use like regular shotguns and shit
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So yeah, I liked it's retrofuturism is retrofuturism is like 50s but futuristic. So this isn't
yeah.
retrofuturism. This is like the best I can like describe it as blue collar futurism because it's like
That's
that's
fair.
what Alien did, where it's like very much like clearly it takes place in the future, but these
Yeah.
guys kind of act like they're in the present because they were space truckers. That was the
Well,
whole
yeah,
point.
and they were talking
So
about how they were limiting everybody's nutritional input because they couldn't,
yeah,
they couldn't afford to waste food and stuff like that. Yeah. No, I
I
dug
like
it.
that.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Um,
and
yeah.
I also felt that the first act was very poorly edited because I'm like, I don't know if there's like a director's cut out there that explains more, but I feel like that like the way the flashbacks were was really I don't know if this was just me. I was confused as fuck. Like we start out that he's like in the crevasse, he's dying, he thinks the
Right.
shit covered croissants are gonna kill him, and which made me laugh out loud so loud in the fucking theater, by the way. But he's like in the crevasse, and then it's like, okay, you're probably wondering, record scratch. You're probably wondering how I got here, and then they go back, and then they go like a little bit forward, and then they go back further, and then they
Yeah.
like jump forward, and then they go back again, and I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, hang on, and it's funny because I was explaining this to my sister. And she knows nothing. She knows very little about this movie. She's like, I know Robert Pattinson is in it, and I know Bong Joon-ho directed it. So I was explaining this to her, and she's like, was this based on a book by any chance? I'm like, yeah, it was. I'm like, that sounds like very much book narrative shit. And I'm like,
Okay.
interesting. So it's entirely possible Bong Joon-ho like literally adapted like the structure of the book for
Yeah.
like the first act or so because it didn't happen throughout the rest of the movie. The rest of the movie is pretty well edited and competently edited and all that. Even like during fight scenes
Well,
and
and
stuff
yeah,
like
and
that, it
well, and
was
it's continuous because at that point there is no more
there's
flashbacks.
nothing
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So the rest of it's comedy. She's like, was this based on a book? I'm like, yes. And she's like, there it is. And it's so funny because when they were explaining like the personality stuff in regards to the printer, my dad was confused. He's like, I love the movie, but he's like, I don't get this. Why was 18 so different from 17? I'm like, well, it's
Right.
never really explained well. And I think that now, here's the thing, showing and not telling, I appreciate that. But if somebody is like, I'm missing an entire important plot point and a character driven plot point, that
Yeah.
I'm misunderstanding parts of the movie because I don't understand how this thing works, then I feel like that's something you should kind of tell. Because if someone's that confused, then I feel like that's something you should mention. So now what I gathered from the whole printing thing is like, it's like how somebody can live the same life, but like even though the DNA is the same, maybe depending on memories, maybe depending on certain experiences, it just so happens that like they have wildly different personalities because of
Yeah.
a traumatic thing or this thing or that thing. So that's kind of the vibe I got. So I didn't really need like a major explanation, but I can see people getting confused by that. So I feel like there should have been something extra, at least a little bit in the first act or so, that it's like, hey, this is kind of how the printing works. I don't know if you felt the same way or you're just kind of like, whatever, I just accepted it after a certain point because I like what's going on?
I mean, I thought it was an interesting commentary. I mean, it made sense to me that they would be different, because even though, he supposedly has all of the memories from the previous Mickeys, it's still like they're all experiencing things differently.
Right.
So it I didn't really bat an eye to it.
Fucking Caleb. But I think I don't know. I still really liked the movie. I know there's a couple people I know that really, really did not like this movie, which is fine. Like, that's obviously like whatever. Feel whatever you want to feel, and I can kind of see why. But I still really liked. I mentioned this before. I thought all the performances were great. I personally liked how Bong Joon-ho didn't go like obvious with like the political satire, because he was explaining in an interview how he's like, I didn't go with like the modern political agenda in terms of the characters of Ruffalo and Colette, but he's like, I went with there was the Marco couple in the Philippines and the Koskescu or whatever couple in another part of the world, how it's like those because he's like, I wanted to focus on a dictator couple, because he's like, I feel like the power dynamic there was really interesting, and I really liked that as well.
Yeah, I was almost expecting, when they started to turn against Mark Ruffalo's character, I was fully expecting Toni Collette to do the same, to be like, oh, I wasn't about this, like I whatever you need, and instead she was like, absolutely fucking not, like, I'm still in charge, I'm still in control, like, you guys,
right.
This is your fault. So that was interesting, because that's not where I expected her character to be going.
Yeah, I think I also really liked and I feel like the second half is like kind of where the plot came in with the creepers. Like, I really liked I really liked the creepers, and I really liked how they looked. And the thing is, I remember hi Stephen Yun. There was Bong Joon-ho was doing an interview with, I think it was Stephen Colbert, and he was holding a creeper plushie. So they exist out there somewhere. I don't know if they're available to buy.
Oh boy.
But they are out there. So
find them at the next Build-A-Bear by you.
But I mean, Stephen Yun, fucking amazing. I love how like he's
such a piece of shit in this film.
He's such a fucking great.
He's
like,
such a dickhead.
His biggest roles are like Glenn and Invincible in Walking Dead and Invincible, where he's like morally good guy, really good at what he does. Like, but he's like, here he's just the like deplorable piece of shit. And I like how at the end he still like gets away with being a piece of shit, because sometimes that works. Like, that's what happens. Sometimes the asshole, like, not necessarily wins, but he's just kind of like moves on and kind of gets away with it.
Yeah.
Naomi Ackie, someone actually brought a really good point for this. Like, I like her. I still like her character a lot, but somebody was explaining like she doesn't really have a character, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of realized that she doesn't have much of a character outside of Mickey. I think she was like kind of.
Well, she was a part of the security team. So like her job was just to, law and order. Like, she didn't have like a specific like mission necessarily.
Right.
And then, when shit pops off, then she kind of comes into.
She kind of gets in, but I liked the dynamic between her and Mickey, how it was like reverse of the traditional dynamic. She goes to work and he dresses her up and like all that. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but she doesn't have like a ton outside of, oh, she loves Mickey and she's really badass. So I'm like, I wish there could have been a little bit more with her now looking back, like, but I still think she did a great job with what she was given. And I like how there was a lot of shade of gray in this. It wasn't like a good guy winning, but it wasn't like, it was kind of just like this weird, awkward thing. But that's kind of how it is in real life, how it's just kind of gray. And it's just like, maybe this is a good thing, maybe this is a bad thing. It's like, it's kind of a happy ending, but like not really. And it's kind of like surface level happiness, but there's like a lot of fucked up shit that can go wrong after the credits roll kind of thing. And I like that because, again, it feels like real life, even though this takes place 100 years in the future and, it's on another planet and all that shit, even though it's like shit can still go down and probably will, because it's like history is doomed to repeat itself kind of thing. So I thought that was definitely an interesting point to have. I thought the music was great. Another side thing, I think the story for the most part was well executed. Like the ethics of cloning was obviously brought up a lot, and I thought that was very well done. How a life well lived or a life not well lived can affect somebody and not, and whatever. I thought that was good. I thought, like, as you were saying, the effects were really good, both the CGI and practical effects, really good. I loved, as you were saying, the aesthetic and the tone. I liked the comedy was good. I think I mentioned this in my
It was
previous
very
review.
dry.
Very dry. But
Yeah.
it was one of those cases where I'm watching this, I'm like, I know this is funny. I think it's funny. I like the comedy, but I'm like, but I'm not laughing as much as I should be when I want to laugh more. Like, there was a lot of, like, a couple of laugh out loud moments where it was like, they look like a croissant covered in shit. That fucking killed me. That was great. Toni Collette was so good. Both of them were so, Mark Ruffalo and Collette were so good. The entire cast was amazing. The only one I didn't like that much was Kai. She was kind of bland, but, like, I think that was kind of the point.
Manos liked her.
But I think I really like. I mean, I'm not gonna say I was disappointed because I was really excited for this movie. This is probably one of Bong Joon-ho's weaker movies that I've watched. I think the only two I have not seen from him were Okja, which was his Netflix movie, and then his directorial debut of Barking Dogs Never Bite. But I've seen everything else. I think my favorite from him is probably Memories of Murder. That was so well done. That was just so excellent from beginning to end. Mother, not the Jennifer Lawrence movie, was also fantastic. Snowpiercer was great.
I love Parasite. I'm so obsessed with that
Parasite
movie.
was amazing.
So incredible.
I think that might be my third favorite from him. If I had to, it would probably be from best to worst. It would be Memories of Murder, Mother, Parasite, Snowpiercer, this,
Love
and then The Host.
Yeah.
I think his outside of The Host, his American-made stuff is usually weaker. Not bad. It's not bad. Like even The Host, even I think it's very overrated. It's still a decent movie. It's good. I just don't love it as much as everyone else does. But yeah, I still think it's definitely a good time. Not a perfect movie, but I still really like. I think it's for the most part well executed. It's just for me that the things that hamper it is the first act and the first half, like the first half of the second act. Technically, those were weaker points, but I still thought it was very well done, and most of what they were going for was well executed and a lot of fun, but still had like a point, and not just surface level, but like deep under the surface was a well executed like satire and whatnot. So yeah, I still really, really liked it, and I recommend it. I know it hasn't been doing great box office wise. It has a good like Rotten Tomato score, even though we know that doesn't matter. But I think you guys should go and see this one. I really liked it. Liz really liked it. Dan is a fucking idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm just kidding. But we both really liked it, so I would say go if there's nothing else.
But I mean, we did anticipate this though, and we had seen some articles that said the same, that it wasn't going to make its budget back and that kind of thing. But which is disappointing because I really enjoyed it. So
So Lenny's in the chat yelling at us about how American humor is inferior. Yes, we know American humor is inferior. You don't have to fucking tell us.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still thought it was funny. Like, this was like a very funny movie.
No, I loved it.
And I love how, I mean, you were saying this before. I love how bonkers it is. I don't think Ron is here though. No, Ron, are you here, buddy?
Ron, if you're here, say hello.
But yeah, Anthony Wilkerson. Hello, sir. You're also in here, a figure drawing. I don't know if I said hello to you, but hello. Yep, Angelica K also here. But yeah.
Yep.
But this was very, very, very good movie. Maybe not the greatest thing ever, but I really liked it, and Liz, I think you really liked it as well.
Quite enjoyable.
But this is not over for
Not by
the
a long shot.
reviews because we have another thing to get into, and that's MCU stuff. But before we get into the big thing, which don't worry, we will get into, we're going to get into a couple bits and pieces here and there. And that is mainly the Russo brothers talking about the upcoming Avengers movie. So we'll get into that real quick. And then we'll be getting into the nitty gritty that you really want to get into, Liz. So they were talking about.
No, I don't like spoiling things.
Well, we're going to put up a spoiler warning. It's fine. Put the jacket on. Get comfy. Anyway,
Freezing.
So apparently the production company behind Avengers Doomsday is called For All Time Productions UK. Do you think this means anything? Like, is it just like a cute reference, or do you think it means more than what it's showing us?
I mean, it would make sense if they're pulling the TVA in, because again, they have to start connecting the dots. They have to start making the timelines merge and bring in some unfamiliar characters and some very familiar characters. So it doesn't surprise me. I'm not trying to read into anything because we know so much can change between now and then. But okay. I'm not, again, this is where I look at things and I say, get a life, gang. Like there's like, don't waste your time speculating and just wait till the darn movie comes out, or at the very least the trailer, and then start, give yourself something to talk about. I don't find stuff like this newsworthy myself.
Anyway, just want to know your thoughts, but moving on. So the Russo, pretty much confirming what we all thought. The Russo brothers say the recent circulated concept from Avengers Doomsday isn't real. Nothing spoiling in there. That's not our concept art. Yeah. Fucking knew that. That was like fucking obvious as fuck.
Yeah, fairly obvious.
Were you here for the concept art thing, or when we talked about it, or no? Sorry.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
but did you see it?
I've seen some things. Yeah.
So were you immediately like, yeah, this is fake as fuck. This is definitely not anything.
Well, like I said, again, I'm not trying to think one thing or you know what I mean? Because I feel like when you do that, like you create expectations for yourself. You create expectations for the film, and then when the film doesn't meet that, it's not the film's fault. It's your fault because you're buying into this bullshit. So no, I try not to pay attention to any of it personally.
Right. But yeah, just I think this was pretty obvious. I mean, the concept art was pretty cool, and it did have some interesting ideas. It's entirely possible those ideas are in the movie. It's just maybe not as much as we thought, or like, with how much concept art was revealed, quote unquote, the likelihood of something carrying over is positive, but considering how great it was and how interesting, a lot of interesting concepts there were in the concept art, yeah, I knew that was fake as fuck because it was too good, and Disney's definitely not going to fucking do good shit with these fucking movies. So we're going to probably just get generic, gray, boring crap like we've gotten with the last like 10 Marvel movies. So, but yeah, this was kind of the big feeling of like, yeah, obviously it's not fucking, real because I mean, I was literally talking about this when we were first talking about it, how, like Marvel is pretty damn good with, keeping shit locked up, like ever since, like I remember Anthony Mackie was like doing an interview where he was like, yeah, fucking somebody leaks the original Avengers script. And I think even before then, but especially after then, they have fucking big security. They will make sure nothing proper gets leaked that they don't want to get leaked. So I'm willing to bet, like, yeah, this is fake because like Disney's pretty good with like keeping a fucking tight ship. So I had a feeling that it wasn't real. Nice it would have been because it was pretty good concept art. But yeah, it was a strong feeling that that wasn't the case. But yeah, just like a couple things before we get into this. Bam, Daredevil Born Again coming in. Hang on, let me just put this up.
Thank you.
There it is.
Should be much
And
bigger. Much bigger.
have some fun talking about it. And I'll just hang back and you just I'll you know what, fuck it. I'll go in
So-
backstage and it's all on you.
Well, so gang, I don't like to give spoilers. However, I think for context and for discussing the direction of the show, I think it's really important. And also, every single article that I have seen about episode 3 has spoiled it. So you're not hearing it from me first. It's been out there in a minute, for a minute. So again, when we left off with episode 1 and 2, Foggy had died. Matt Murdock hung up the Daredevil costume and said, "You know what? I'm just going to I'm going to serve justice legit in the courtroom. I'm going to do the best that I can for my fellow man, without putting the suit on, without beating the shit out of the people in the dead of night, without getting myself hurt." And we're introduced to White Tiger. Turns out White Tiger is a man who was wrongfully accused of killing a police officer when he thwarted 2 corrupt cops' attempt to beat up their informant. Matt Murdock defends him, finds out, oh shit, you are also happen to be White Tiger, who is another well-known vigilante in the area. Keeps trying to explain to the guy, like, you need to hang it up. You can't be doing this. You're going to get yourself hurt. It's not good for your family. And you're going to end up in situations like this. They end up finding the informant that was the only other witness to what had happened that night, when he was wrongfully accused of killing a cop. Matt Murdock tries to bring the witness in. The witness refuses to cooperate. And Matt is sitting here like, I cannot let this innocent man go to jail for something he didn't do, when he's out here trying to do the right thing. So in episode 3, during the courtroom battle or conversation or defense, whatever you want to, whatever term you want to use, he friggin' outs his client and says, "Hey, by the way, my client is White Tiger." And he does it because he's trying to prove that this man has done nothing but good for the city. But he doesn't clear it with him and say, "Hey, do you mind if I out you to the entire world that you're this masked vigilante?" Thankfully, it does help the defense. It helps his case. But again, he says to White Tiger, Hector, he says to Hector, "You got to hang it up now. Now everybody knows you're out. You can't hide. People are going to be gunning for you. It's going to be really, really hard." Hector says, "I can't do it. I am one of those, this is important to me. This is my city. I care about my fellow man. I care about my community." And again, Matt is like, "I'm telling you right now, nothing good is going to come after this. Like, yes, you're free. Go start your life over again. Reconnect with your family. Just be happy that you're out of prison and you're not, you haven't been found guilty for a crime you didn't commit, and leave it at that." Unfortunately, he does not heed Matt's advice, puts the White Tiger mask and garb back on, and immediately goes out in the street and is killed. So goodbye, White Tiger. That's how the episode ends. But again, the reason I'm bringing this up is because gradually throughout, they've been peppering in glimpses, or I shouldn't even say glimpses, but they've been peppering in Punisher imagery. So one of the corrupt cops has the Punisher skull tattoo. The person who comes up and it actually shoots and kills White Tiger has the Punisher style, bulletproof vest on. And they make us think at the end of this episode that it is the Punisher because it looks just like the bulletproof vest that he wears, that John Bernthal's character wears. But we know I know it's not. But I'm saying this to say it's seeming like at any minute now, if not episode 4, definitely episode 5, John Bernthal is going to show up. We've been waiting for him to show up. And this is what they're kind of alluding to, that all of these rogue cops kind of have got it in their minds that they're almost like vigilantes, but they're vigilantes for in the Punisher sense of things. Like they hold this guy in such esteem. They think the Punisher is such a badass. And I'm assuming John Bernthal's character is going to come in and try to snub all of that shit and be like, stop using my image, stop using, my legend to, as motivation to do all this bullshit that you're doing. So that's why I'm kind of telling you guys all of this. We still have a continuation of Fisk and his wife not getting along because she feels like he's weak because he's kind of taken a step back. He's decided he's not going to just go in guns blazing and crack a bunch of skulls every time he's pissed off about something. And he keeps trying to explain to her, like, we can continue doing the bad shit and being the kingpins that we are, but we can now do it in a way that where the law works in our favor and it actually helps our image. So she's having a hard time getting on board with that. But still, again, and it's mentioned in a couple of the articles that are out right now about episode 3, not a whole lot of action going on. Matt is still really hesitant to get his hands dirty. He's still really, really struggling with, being the straight-laced, just lawyer guy that's trying not to put on the suit, trying not to go out there and do the right thing for his community. So I don't know. At this point, to me, I feel like he's not putting the suit back on until the very last episode, but we'll see what happens. Again, they are starting to, they're continuing to kind of pull in the really strong Catholicism references and imagery, but he has yet to actually go into a church and speak to a priest, so I'm sure that's coming as well. But I'm enjoying it. I feel like, again, because there's really not a whole lot of action, which is what we're used to with Daredevil, with these shows, especially all the Netflix Marvel shows. They were action packed, so it doesn't move as much as we'd like it to. But I'm still enjoying the story. I'm still enjoying, kind of this struggle that Matt has going on. But at this point, I'm kind of like, okay, get to it. Like I'm waiting for him to like, okay, when's the other shoe going to drop? Like you need to break, put the suit back on and go out there and kick some ass. But again, I'm assuming that's going to happen when John Bernthal gets into the mix. If anything, he's going to be the one kicking ass. And I'm okay with that too. So we'll see what happens, but I hope you guys are watching it. I hope I didn't spoil it too badly for anybody. And again, unfortunately, I'm kind of sad that White Tiger was killed off. I'm not surprised necessarily, because again, Matt warned him, don't put the goddamn suit back on. But as we know, the actor who plays Hector did tragically pass away due to his battle with cancer. So for just personally, I feel like it would have been nice to have seen him more throughout the show. So, but the fact that like now we're having to say goodbye to this guy is a little sad. So, but
yeah. That's it for spoilers for the time being. But yeah, apparently Lenny had a bit of a question for you, Liz. Liz, what about the young kid that asks Matt's girlfriend to take him on as a patient? What are your thoughts on that?
There's something there. Like when I saw that, I was like, ooh, this guy's creepy. He's giving off a creepy vibe. I almost feel like maybe he's going to end up being a vigilante as well, or somebody who has has this weird obsession with vigilantes and wants to like do good. Or I could be completely wrong and he could just be somebody that's like really fucked up. I don't expect Matt and his girlfriend to last past this season. Again, because she is the therapist to Fisk and his wife, but also because with that creepy kid connection, I can kind of see him going off the deep end and killing her, which might ultimately be the thing that makes Matt snap. Who knows? But there's definitely going to be more to that coming up as the show moves on as well. So we will see. Yeah.
So we wanted to get into it a little bit more. Obviously some articles. I mean, you kind of mentioned this already, but we can reiterate real quick. But a lot of people think Daredevil Born Again is risking holding back. Like this is kind of like a slower episode. Now, I know you mentioned already that like, let's kind of get to it, but do you mind episodes like this where it's like, it has the slower drama, like court drama filled episodes, as long as you know those action filled episodes are coming later? Or do you hate like episodes like this in general?
Well,
like this saying, like not enough
I
Daredevil in Born Again kind of thing.
Yeah, well, we talked about this before starting the show tonight. I prefer to binge things just because it works better for my schedule. For me, unfortunately, if it's something that comes out week to week, I'll watch it and then I'll fall off just because I just won't get back to it right away. So the only time I watch things week for week is for this show for y'all. So for me, if I were to binge it, I wouldn't have a problem with it at all. But yeah, I could, we had a good portion, a good bit of action in the first episode. We had a nice little, ending on episode 2 with action. But this one really had nothing exciting going on. So yeah, I can understand on a week to week basis, like this one was probably the weakest of all 3. But if I were just binging it straight through it really probably wouldn't affect me one way or the other. It's just another part of telling the story.
Right. Because I know, there was like a whole bunch of like the spoiler tease. I mean, you mentioned it with Punisher. So you already stated that you don't think it was Punisher at the end. You think it was somebody else.
I know it wasn't. I know it wasn't.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen it, so
Yeah.
can you try to maybe explain that?
And we have seen this in comic form as well, in comic strip form, right? Where cop cars had, like bumper stickers of the Punisher's symbol, and Punisher goes up to these guys and he's like, you are completely missing the whole fucking point. Like, so I definitely think these are the rogue, corrupt cops that have this Punisher idealization going on.
Right.
And again, that just absolutely missed the point entirely. So and again, I think that's what's going to bring him out of hiding, is he's going to come out and be like, get my name out your fucking mouth. So
yeah, I mean, he said in the comics where he was like, you want a role model, go to Captain America. He'll be happy to have you. Like that's it's like a great meme I've seen. It's like, no, you're not the Punisher. You're a white supremacist that doesn't read comics. Please shut the fuck up. So yeah, that is essentially the case here. To the point that the Punisher symbol had to be, the original Punisher symbol had to be retired, and they had to give him a new one in the comics because people are fucking stupid and don't understand the point. So that, which is unfortunate because the new one kind of blows, but that's the unfortunate thing we have to live in because people are dumb.
Yeah.
So,
but I do agree with JB's comment. I wish there was some more action as well. I mean, again, I enjoy it, but that's what I really liked about the Netflix shows, was that they were always getting into a scruff with somebody, that there was always, some kind of action going on. They were keeping it moving. But again, this is it's Born Again. This is the Catholicism. This is the heavy religioso Daredevil. So he's trying to be pious and he's trying to do the right things, and this is what we get for now.
Yeah, so Lenny's saying White Tiger returns because in the comics his niece becomes White Tiger. So,
which is very possible, yeah. And we do see his family in the background, yeah.
Yeah, and the creepy guy that you were talking about, he's not a vigilante, he's just fucked up. And honestly, and she even said, I suspect he's the big bad in this show.
And he might be what, he might become in line with Fisk and become Fisk's weapon of choice, and we'll see what happens. Oh, excuse me.
But JB has a question. And we'll throw that on the screen real quick. He was like, is it true that Daredevil Born Again was originally envisioned as a courtroom drama? I mean, they did say at one point that it was gonna be heavy on the courtroom stuff. So it's entirely possible that maybe the original concept of Born Again, before it was reshuffled, that maybe there was more courtroom stuff, like it was like Daredevil was kind of in the background. But the vibe I'm getting from this episode, it was mainly courtroom drama. So I'm like, maybe they didn't change that much. I don't know. But
yeah, I think they're trying really, really hard to draw as much from the comics, and then again, like JB said, kind of their original idea, and they're trying to merge all of those ideas together. And for some people it's a miss, and I understand, but for me, I'm still liking it for the most part.
Yeah. So even this article is saying, no, that wasn't him in Daredevil Born Again episode 3. They're like, yeah, obviously the Punisher is not going to be showing up.
Well, and he's
but-
certainly not going to be showing up and shooting somebody in the head. Like, that's just not his
but apparently after episode 3, Daredevil Born Again's Rotten Tomatoes audience score drops below its critics score. So that's so originally it had audience score of 93 and a critic score of 80, but now the audience score is 82 and the critic score is 84. Not like that really matters because Rotten Tomatoes sucks and it's lame. So it's entirely possible people are just, a little bit upset that it's like slower, but it's like week by week it's going to fluctuate and we're just going to have to know by the end of it, which it's just people need to be patient.
Well,
That's
so Hugo Millie says they did do a lot for White Tiger's character and set a really strong foundation for his daughter or his niece's future takeover. I agree and I don't agree. They barely reference the amulet. Like, they don't really talk about what powers the amulet necessarily bestows upon him. Is it just super strength? Is it just protection? They just kind of hint at it. So I'm hoping if the daughter or niece or whomever takes over, they get a little bit more into that, because I think they kind of, that's why I'm also disappointed that they already killed him off, because I feel like we barely got any information about this character, especially for somebody like myself who doesn't read the comics. But again, we'll see what happens if someone else does take up the mantle.
Yeah, I mean, Hugo. Also, hi, Hugo Millie. But yeah, they were saying they're going to set the foundation. Manos, we're going to get into that soon with how originally that the episodes 2 and 3 were the original pilot before the changes that apparently Daredevil wasn't going to suit up in the original Born Again pilot. As we all know, it kind of got stripped away and then kind of redone to make it work with the Netflix show more, be more of that, vibe, because originally it wasn't going to connect, but now it connects.
Yeah.
So did you get that vibe when you were watching now episodes 2 and 3 that it's like, oh, this feels like the beginning, but now it was like moved, or did you not feel it at all? Was it like, it's whatever?
I mean, again, I know that I can like you definitely feel that they're building towards something. Like I said, now it's just the anticipation of, okay, when is he putting the suit on? When are we going to see the Punisher? That's where all the speculation is at the moment between, from me and from what, again, people that I know that are watching it. Again, I'm convinced he's not putting the suit on until the very last episode. Other people are saying that would suck if that's the case. It better not happen like that. He better put the suit back on sooner. But I think his girlfriend's got to be killed in a really horrific way. I think the Punisher is going to end up in a jam, and he needs help. I mean, and Fisk is still trying to build up this good guy image while also still doing Kingpin shit. So there's a lot of other factors that are slow, I think slowly, unfortunately, going to unravel. Not at a glacial pace, but certainly not in the manner that fans are asking for.
If I were to take a guess, is that originally episodes 2 and 3, since they don't seem to have Karen Page and Foggy Nelson, that because originally I think, because I remember reading a rumor that they were like snapped away like at the end of like Endgame, and then like that's what it was going to take place
I read
after.
That as well. Yep, I read that too.
But I also remember seeing that like it wasn't going to connect, like this was going to be a full-on reboot, like, but it was going to, like, the Daredevil Netflix show was like going to be in its own universe, and this is the MCU version, so it's going to be different. So I'm going to take a wild guess that the first episode was that bridge of like that they originally didn't have, since it was going to be a full reboot. That, Foggy Nelson got killed, Karen Page goes to LA, all this stuff happens, and then we get into the first 2 episodes that were going to be originally the first 2 episodes, which are now episodes 2 and 3. So I think that it was mainly that first episode for the context that we needed, that we weren't originally going to get with like a full.
And I was actually really surprised because first of all, so as far as the timeline is concerned, like the snap happened like 5 years ago. And it's been 6 years since the last Daredevil series. So I was really, really surprised after Foggy gets killed that they just jumped to 1 year later. Like, it made more sense for me, and I think it would have made sense for audiences as well, especially with the pacing and just where Matt is mentally and physically in life and professionally. It would have made sense if they had said 5 years later as opposed to 1, because he does make such a dramatic change of lifestyle, and things do change so drastically. So I just, like, I feel like you need more time for things to, like, fall apart, and for Karen to pack up her whole life and leave, and you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it almost would make more sense that he was so kind of melancholy and somber, and again also still feeling very righteous about the direction that he's gone in his life. Like, it would make sense that it would take a little more time to develop all of that and to get there, and to, you know what I mean, like, but still be living in your feelings. So that was, like, probably aside from, I mean, I knew somebody was going to die, but I was disappointed it was Foggy. But again, so aside from that shock, I was like, only a year later? That doesn't make, you know what I mean? Like, so, so there's, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say this is the greatest fucking Marvel show that's ever existed, but, you know, they got their work cut out for them. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And then you got people, you know, saying how, you know, creative Daredevil is, and then this whole thing was like, thanks for the support, dumbass. He literally calls himself dumbass. So, like, you were kind of asking for that. But yeah, like, little cute things of, like, the fans being,
I do love Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, and how like people are, like, going off on this, and, you know, Vincent D'Onofrio being great. But yeah, Daredevil, maybe it's getting better. Maybe if it's actually Netflix levels by the end of the season, maybe I'll give it a watch. Probably not, but, you know, I still have Fantastic Four to look forward to.
I feel like at this point I want to take bets as to when he's going to put the damn suit on.
Yeah, do you want to? I mean, we've done bets in the past.
I still say it's not going to be until the last episode. I'm going to say that.
JB, you're not being a dick. I don't know why you think you're being a dick. You're not being a dick.
No, JB, it's all good. It's all love, baby. It's all good.
Thanks for fielding my we're gonna add that to the compliments thing. But JB saying thanks for fielding my comments. You guys rock. We appreciate that, buddy. And you're not being a dick. I don't know why you think you're being a dick.
And Lenny's saying, are there meant to be 18 episodes? I don't think it's 18. I thought it was like 8. Like, I thought it was
what it really originally was going to be. It was going to be an 18 episode season split into 2 halves.
I hate that
now, but then, because I mean, it's so long, and it's like so different, and like they would have been filming for like 2 years straight. So they're like, let's not do that. So what they did is then they split it into 2 seasons. We're going to get, I think, 8 episodes now, and then like 9 episodes later or something like that. But yeah, we're going to be getting
it up now. Give me a second here.
We're going to be getting that.
Just nine episodes for this season.
TC24. Hi, TC24 coming into today. We're talking about Daredevil mid again. Yes, we're talking about Daredevil Born Again. You kind of missed most of it, but yeah.
Yeah, so just 9 episodes. The last episode will air April 15th.
Okay. Yeah, Liz, you made some good point. Lenny's saying, Liz, you made some good points. Perhaps they'll address this in the second half of the season. Isn't there meant to be 18 episodes? So yeah, it's no longer gonna be the second half of the season. It's just gonna be season 2 or season 5, however you want to word it or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so would you say, final question for somebody who watched it, was there a lot of navel gazing in this episode? Would you say that?
I don't know if I'm understanding it the way you're saying it.
It's a joke because because the showrunner of Born Again.
Are they edging? Is that what you mean?
Born Again, because he said that the original Daredevil show, there was a lot of navel gazing, and which I don't know what the fuck that means. He was just like, there was a lot of, people talking and shit, and that was stupid, right? And it's like, why are you being a dick for no fucking reason, man?
Self-contemplation. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that.
Um,
But do you think
sure.
there was that in here?
Well, like I said, again, Matt is definitely feeling righteous by doing what he thinks is taking the high road by not putting the mask on, and I'm doing it the right way. I'm going through the right channels. But at the same time, like he's still using like his supersonic hearing, and he's still like he's not like you haven't turned it off exactly. You know what I mean? Like, but it makes me think of when somebody loses a lot of weight after going on a diet, they think like their way is the only right way. That's kind of what he's been doing. And again, trying to preach to White Tiger and talk, but also and then also outing him on top of it and like purposely putting a bullseye on this guy in order to save him.
Get it.
So yeah. So there's, I did say edging Lenny.
Yeah.
But so I'm very conflicted with this Matt Murdock character. You guys know how much I love Charlie. But I really want to shake this guy and be like, snap out of it, babe. Like Christ.
Just go full share on him. Snap out of it.
But you know what? I just can't wait for my John Bernthal to come in. Maybe he will help him see the light. There is still some closeted Catholicism background shit. Like he has yet to walk through a church, but Lord knows when that episode happens, it's probably going to be a real snooze. So we'll see. We will see.
Yeah, don't know she was into that. So that's what Lenny's saying right now.
Listen, just because Fiona turned you down, don't start coming over here. I'm gonna turn you down too, Lenny. I'm sorry. As much as I love you.
Ouch. God damn.
I love you.
But I did want to bring this up. Now, I don't know if you knew anything about this, but I feel like this is a good discussion to have. I was going to have it with Dan, but he had technical issues yesterday, so he couldn't do it. But I have you now, and you're the bigger Marvel fan, so I'm really curious to know your thoughts. Did you hear about the Stan Lee documentary that is coming out? So I'm curious to know
it's gonna be rough.
your thoughts on this, because there's been a lot of discussion in regards to this, and a lot of people there's a lot of mixed feelings, because there's the idea of like, yes, showcase the abuse that Stan Lee was going through towards the end of his life. This guy, not this guy, but another guy was taking advantage of that. But then there's the people that towards this guy that are like, okay, you have the footage. Why don't you just fucking release it? And why are you asking for money? And on top of the fact, there's a lot of stuff like in the trailer of you acting like a dick towards Stan Lee as well. So I'm curious to know your thoughts about it, is all.
Yeah, the whole thing is really, really sad and really unfortunate. And I don't think, even if he did release every bit of footage, absolutely nothing will come of it, because the only person that in any type of like beneficial way that could benefit from some kind of lawsuit or would be Stan Lee's daughter, who is also accused of elder abuse and just taking his money every chance she got. She was pretty much the reason he kept working until all the way up until the day that he died, because it was just a cash grab for her. It was just, Daddy, keep performing so I can keep having nice things. And until she's in her 70s, for Christ's sake, and she was still pulling that shit. So it's just all around a horrible, horrible thing. On the other hand, I think it is really important that stories like this come to light, because again, as someone like myself who has gone to Comic-Con, there was a little speculation that Nichelle Nichols went through this towards the end of her life. For me personally, I believe that Billy D. Williams is going through this right now. And that's just, I'm just talking about the people that I've personally met and been in front of and have kind of seen the way they've been handled. So I think it's important, because I don't think elder abuse is really talked about or showcased until, unfortunately, like this, until after the fact, when nothing can be done and these people can't be helped. Wendy Williams is going through something very similarly right now. Conservatorship is really, really tricky, and having the right people in your corner is so important. But how do those people fight for you when they don't have any legal rights to you? So
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see it. It's gonna break my heart the entire time. But at the same time, I'm like, when the stories first started coming out, I was always really disappointed that I never got the chance to meet Stan. But then when the stories came out, I was like, oh, thank God I never met him, because I would hate to feel like I was part of the problem. You know what I mean? But at the same time, these people need our support. So it's a really jagged edge to walk across. I have a concern for Tim Curry right now, who suffered a stroke in 2012 and is still out on the circuit. I have met him a couple of times, but there's always that background thought in your
Right.
mind, is like, does he want to be here, or is he forced to be here? It's an important conversation to have. Maybe this isn't the guy that should be having it. Maybe he's not going about it the right way necessarily. But I mean, anytime anybody profits off of somebody else's story, there's always going to be an icky feeling to it, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I will see it, as much as it's going to pain me. I think it's something important that hopefully will change some things in the future for other
Yeah, of
celebrities
course.
and other people in the spotlight.
It's just the discussion that's also being brought up, that I agree with that, but at the same time, isn't this guy technically exploiting Stan Lee's
No, he absolutely
memory?
is. Yeah, he absolutely
Like,
is.
because it's definitely awkward, because like at the one hand, I'm like, yes, highlight elder abuse, because it's happening to not just
Yeah.
celebrities, but a lot of
Yeah.
people, everyday
Yeah.
people that don't have are even worse, that just live and die, and then their stories are never told, and they
Yeah.
don't get justice at all.
Well, and again, it's pretty much the same thing that's going on with Wendy Williams. I think she has 2 or 3 documentaries about what she's dealing with right now, but not a single one of them have yet to actually help her get out of that situation. Same thing with Britney Spears. I mean, how many things had gone on before she got out of her conservatorship? Amanda Bynes, another example, Brittany Murphy. So this happens all the time. It happens to regular everyday people. It could happen to your own grandma and grandpa. It's again, it's an important conversation, and unfortunately, sometimes you have to have, even like that fucking movie. Oh my God, now I can't remember it. The Jim Caviezel movie that just came out that everybody is pissed off about. If it sparks conversation, even goddamn October 8th that I'm seeing on Sunday that I don't want to see, it's important that somebody see it, so that you can have these hard and important and impactful conversations. So there's always going to be good and bad in everything.
Right.
I just, it's just a shame, because Stan was just so beloved by everyone that knew him, and then certainly, the Marvel fans, just he is a god in our world. So it's very unfortunate. Yes, Sound of Freedom. Thank you, Caleb. Yes, I did see that film, and holy fuck. So yeah.
Yeah, and
Again,
then
it's good to spark the conversation, but unfortunately, sometimes you
it's
gotta
still like
go the shitty
awkward
route.
place of like,
Yeah.
you were still making jokes, you were still like kind of part of the problem, and you're still asking for money after the fact. So
Right.
it's just
Right.
very like awkward
Yes,
to
Caleb.
talk about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Just like the Rust documentary that's on Hulu right now about Helena. Yes, exactly. Again, I can understand where her family is coming from, wanting, whenever you lose someone, you're like, but I don't want people to forget about you. But at the same time,
don't
it's
you
like,
forget about me.
so
Anyway,
yeah. Isn't Trump under a conservatorship? Christ, I wish. Maybe under Elon. Maybe Elon is his conservator.
let's not get into that.
Yeah,
We're
we're
talking
not
about
gonna
fun
go
MCU
there.
stuff anyway. Yeah, it's just like a weird thing to talk about, because it's
Yeah.
like you want it to be showcased, but at the same time, this guy is kind of being a bit of a
Yeah,
dinghole.
like I said, I'm
So
gonna see it, but I'm gonna feel icky about it the entire time, and I'm gonna
you're gonna
be
feel the ick,
uncomfortable. I'm gonna be
as they
uncomfortable the whole
say.
time.
I don't know who
Yeah.
says the ick anymore, but somebody's saying the ick. But before we get into before we end the show, we still have obviously the thing that everybody comes to see is DCU Daily. I know I know it took a while, guys, but we're getting there. We're getting there. But let's see here. Hi, welcome to DCU Daily. Such a great segue, right? Anyway, I'm John. I'm supposed to do like an opening with it. We have DCU stuff today. Also, Liz is here. Hi, Liz. How are you doing?
Hello.
Great.
Oh, I'm well.
Okay.
Thank you. Also, I would like to point out, since we're doing the little intro spot,
Okay.
my podcast, Try Not to Curse, Dan, John, and Fiona are all featured on it. It dropped today. So anywhere that you listen to podcasts, check out Try Not to Curse, and you'll enjoy our very unhinged episode all about food.
Yes, a lot of interesting food stuffs happened that day. But yeah, but we have a whole bunch of stuff. The first thing is stuff that not a lot of people care about. The source material, that is. But Batman Hush 2, apparently 400,000 copies were pre-ordered.
That's awesome.
So what I know you haven't really read a ton
I
of
don't
the
read
comics,
but I have heard Batman Hush referenced a lot.
Yeah.
So for me to even know what it is, yeah, I'm good for them. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think this is great because I know Jeff Loeb has been in hot water ever since, his work on the Daredevil show. But he is a great writer, and Jim Lee, yeah, he's a dinghole, but he's a great artist. So, I don't know if I'll read this, but maybe if enough people tell me it's good, I'll read it. Same with the Absolute line. They're like, you should read it. It's amazing. Okay, maybe I'll read it. But for the time being, I won't. But Caleb saying, Batman Hush 2, who cares? Quoting Liz there.
Apparently 400,000 people plus.
Well, yeah, Caleb, 400,000 people are fucking care. So shut up. Kidding, but Lenny is not happy, Liz, that you don't read the comics.
I own 2 comics. I have yet to crack them open. It's just not for me. It's just not for me. Sorry, that's just not the way I read and take in enjoyment, entertainment.
Oof, you're breaking Lenny's heart. You're breaking her heart.
I'm sorry. I appreciate them. I appreciate the craft.
Yeah, Jim Lee
appreciate the fans, but
it's just for me. I've heard. I know a couple people in like the indie comic scene that are like behind the scenes. Jim Lee is actually like a huge fucking asshole, which makes sense. I mean, the ego is there. He's the head of DC right now, so he has a lot of ego behind him, and that makes sense. But like in terms of a business side, yeah, he's been doing well. The Absolute stuff has been rocking. The Hush 2 thing, obviously, this is fucking huge. So obviously, he's like business side, he's doing okay. But Caleb is apparently more than 400,000 people. He's 400,001 people. Okay. But yeah, I good for them. It's nice that comics are getting some love after, like they've been kind of on the trajectory downward. I just hope that good things will come out of this. Probably not, but maybe. But this is going to be coming out on March 26th. It's going to be starting to come out on March 26th, but it's going to be the first chapter of this story. But yeah, good stuff.
Ooh, Watchmen. I read all of Watchmen. So I own 3 comics. I've read 1.
What are the other 2 comics?
One was the first comic that Gerald McDaniels ever wrote and put out, who is DC from DC Run DMC. He is Gerald McDaniels. He is DMC, and he's released a number of graphic novels since. But I have his, and I have a picture with him. And the other one is I think actually it might be a DC comic that my cousin gifted me that apparently cost a lot of money. I don't know what it's called because it was one of those like where it was like just a visual cover and not like
that's usually
title.
A variant cover.
Okay, so I have a variant cover of I'm going to take a picture of it and send it to you, John.
Okay.
But I haven't even taken it out of the cellophane because I was told it was expensive, so I'm not trying to fuck around. it's just more of an investment gift, I guess. But yeah. Sorry.
Cool.
And no, I've not watched the latest Watchmen animated films. I didn't even see the Watchmen TV show. I read the Watchmen comics so that I could see the Watchmen film at the time when it came out all of those years ago.
Right. That was 2009.
I will say I did
Goddamn.
enjoy the comic though. I did enjoy it. I understood where they were
comic.
going with
Great
it.
comic.
So, yeah.
I do own it. It's on my shelf right now, but I read it. Very good. A little overrated, but still very good. But yeah, going on to the next thing. Apparently, Tara Wood's untitled Tim Burton docuseries. Apparently, we are going to be getting, documentary on Tim Burton, and I believe mainly it's going to be about Tim Burton's Batman. But what are your thoughts on this?
I'm interested. I want to check it out. I mean, he's always been a very peculiar person to me, and this is going to sound really fucking cynical, but like I always expect people to come out and say that he's like an asshole, but nobody ever does, and everybody really enjoys working with him. And obviously, because he's very much like Scorsese, where he keeps getting the same actors to continuously sign on for his projects. So cool. I'm all for it, and y'all know I love a documentary, so I'm about it.
Steven Ortega, DNK Global Studios is Dan's
Dan.
Dan's personal account. So, and he's saying our Comixology collection is stacked. But yeah, this looks cool. I guess probably not going to watch it because I don't really care about Tim Burton, but cool.
But it's Batman.
Yeah, and I don't like his Batman movies very much. So
You're no fun. You're no
fun. I like Batman Forever. I like The Dark Knight and Batman Begins. Dark Knight Rises is pretty good.
No.
And the Batman's fine. But yeah, cool. Anyway, something you're going to be way more interested in. Hey, look, it's Jensen Ackles.
Hey,
but
there
apparently, somebody made a really cool fan art of Jensen Ackles and Jensen Ackles as Batman and Alexandra Daddario as Wonder Woman with Brainiac in the background. Do you think this looks cool or no?
I mean, yeah, I dig it. I would also appreciate if someone would do a fan art of Alan Richardson, but it's fine. I'll take what I can get.
You can find that on Google Images anywhere. Yeah. But yeah, cool looking thing. I wouldn't want either of these people as their respective versions, but cool, I guess.
Such a hater.
I can't see Jensen Ackles as Bruce Wayne. Alexandra Daddario, I think she would be better as Zatanna. I think she would be a better Zatanna than Wonder Woman, in my humble opinion, but that's just me. Anyway, Todd McFarlane apparently confirmed a full line of action figures for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow releasing next year. Thoughts? I don't know if you're a collector of
why wouldn't
figurines?
Cash grab.
I don't know if you're a collector of figurines or not.
I'm a collector of all things that interest me. I don't have any McFarlane caricatures, but my very first job, you guys, was Hot Topic. So for those of us in the States, so I'm very familiar with his work and his prices. So yeah.
Yeah, very, very cool. Todd McFarlane, way to go. Although apparently my friends are very upset that Mattel is now going to be handling the action figure side of DC because apparently Mattel's stuff sucks and McFarlane's stuff is really good.
I mean, the boobs will still be huge on all of the female figures, so.
Okay. I don't know why you got to bring that up, but sure. But yeah,
that's why.
Anybody who likes collecting stuff, be stoked. Anywho, Josh Harp appears as the Joker for barely 5 seconds in the Batman-themed State Farm commercial, yet fans are already buzzing that he should be the DCU's
Look at his regular
Joker.
face. Jesus Christ.
His striking resemblance to a young Jack Nicholson, who played the role in Tim Burton's Batman, only fuels the excitement. What are your thoughts? Did you see the State Farm commercial or no?
I didn't, but look at his regular face. Like, how has he not been hired already? He should have been Joker for the past 20 years already.
Yeah,
Looking
like it's
looking
just
normal.
like I love how everyone's like, this Joker appeared for 5 seconds in a State Farm commercial, yet he's already better than Jared Leto. Sorry, Caleb.
Oh, come on now.
Sorry, Caleb. Honka honka. But
Be nice to Jared. He's got a cult.
no, fuck Jared Leto. He's an asshole and he's a cult leader. Fuck that guy.
He's a
I
cult
don't-
leader. That's right. He
Yeah.
doesn't need our sympathy.
He doesn't. He like straight up didn't know COVID was a thing for a year because he was on his island.
On a retreat. He was on a meditative
He was on a
retreat,
retreat,
with no
aka leading
social
his
media.
cult. Anyway.
He was he was starting his cult, yeah.
But Nico is in the chat. And Lenny's like, I'm gonna ask Dan to buy a Supergirl figure as payment to stop harassing Fiona.
I mean, I can be bought, so
we're adding that to the quotes thing. Hang on. We're adding that.
yeah, just make sure you spell my name right. That's all I ask. But it's true. Wait for our Patreon, you guys. Ha! The levels. There'll be so many levels. Anyway.
I thought they outlawed this, but it's
Listen, I'm just speaking the truth.
But this is great. Like, I mean, the fucking makeup here was fucking excellent.
Look at his
like,
normal face. We don't need the makeup. How is
I'm
this
just
guy
saying,
not
like,
been tense?
like he's already
as a
looking good, but the
supervillain?
makeup like fucking exemplifies it.
I'm
like,
saying.
let's go. Like, I want to see this dude. Like, fucking,
Yeah,
like,
right?
give me more of this guy.
That's what
Like,
I'm
I mean,
talking
I was
about.
joking. Like, it was so funny. You could watch it. Like, I was talking about it the other day, where it was just this degenerative thing of like me being like, oh yeah, this commercial's kind of fun, to being like, this is the greatest fucking commercial ever, and this is what I want in a Batman movie, to be like, life is pain. Why don't we get this? Why does DC hate us? Fuck my life. And it's just like this like whole like I went through like the entire like Kubler-Ross model of grief in like 3 minutes. It was crazy. But honestly, I love that State Farm. And I mean, anything with Jordan the Stallion are automatically a win. I fucking love that man.
You guys are gonna have to send me the link for it. I need to see it.
Oh yeah, no, I will. But it's so great, and it's like it looks like they spent a lot of money on the commercial, but it's like, because State Farm kind of does the thing. I think they've been doing this for a while. It's like you wouldn't get something close to this thing, so get like the real thing. It's like, so the joke throughout the commercial is you wouldn't get Jason Bateman to protect Gotham City. You're gonna get Batman, and it's like, oh, it's like a play on the words, but it's like
Was
it's
Jason
actually a real.
Bateman in the commercial?
Yeah, he's like acting as Batman.
Lead with that. I just mentioned his podcast not 20 minutes ago. I love Jason Bateman.
I mean, who doesn't love fucking Jason? Well, I mean, his wife, who doesn't love fucking Jason Bateman, but
she loves him.
Doesn't love Jason Bateman? He's great. Like, he's hilarious, and he's really funny in the commercial. Like, and it's so funny because like all the villains looks like SZA is Catwoman, and she actually looks really good.
Send me the link. I need Dan. Send me the link for God's sakes. I need this link.
Also, hi Steven, how you doing? I think you left and came back, but hello. But now Dan is on his personal account. But yeah,
Dan's got.
But yeah, this was amazing. Great commercial, great look. Can we get this, please, in a movie and not just in a fucking State Farm commercial?
Genuinely.
Thanks. Sincerely,
good for this guy. I hope this blows the doors off his career. Good for him.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Ron, somebody was asking for you earlier. Hey, boss.
Yeah, Lenny was asking for you, Ron. Ron is here, so have at it. But next thing, apparently, a major star is rumored. We were talking about this yesterday or 2 days. I forget when, but it was like we were joking, like, because Jeff Snyder, because Jeff Snyder is a piece of shit, and we have to mention his scooping fucking bullshit. But even then, he was making up bullshit about Superman, and he was saying that Jor-El might be in the movie, and he's gonna have a major like cameo from like a major A-lister, and he mentioned like, oh, they might have Chris Pratt in there. Ha ha ha, wouldn't that be so funny? But then he also mentioned like Tom Cruise as Jor-El, and I'm like, no. stop. Why?
Honestly.
I mean, James Gunn already mentioned that he's probably, if he does have Jor-El in the movie, he's going to be picking someone who would actually make sense for that age. And because you look back on all the other guys who played Jor-El, and they're all like really old for some reason, and it's like,
Yeah.
if you just have a baby, if you have an infant, why the fuck are you getting like 50-year-old Marlon Brando? Like, wouldn't you have like a 30-year-old, like someone around the same age as David Corenswet? Because that's the guy who's just having a baby, late 20s, early 30s. That's like the biological peak to have a baby. So like, why wouldn't you have that? Because James Gunn said, like, obviously shorter because it was on Threads, but he was like, that would make more sense. So I don't think fucking Tom Cruise is gonna be,
Also gross. How
like
many times do I have to say it? He should only leave the house to do Mission Impossible films. That is the only time he should ever leave the house. Okay? So stop
and
it.
then Ron
Don't
saying
call him
just
for
have
anything else.
Ron is just saying just have Henry Cavill play him. And I'm like, honestly,
Dude,
that would be really fun.
That'd be
That would be
awesome.
really funny.
That would be so freaking cute. I would love that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Here's the thing. I think Tom Cruise, like before he did all the Mission Impossible like sequels, is like he was a great actor. Now he's just an
30 years
action
ago.
star.
30 years ago.
But I mean, it would be nice for him to go back into those more serious roles. But I think he just wants to like die on camera at this point, because with the amount of stunts he does, especially with the airplane stunt he seems to be doing in Final Reckoning, bro just wants to die on camera.
Well, and he's
like,
gonna make a movie in space and yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that's what he should let him do that. That's his wheelhouse. Let him stay there.
Also, Fiona is somehow awake. It's like, isn't it like 3 a.m. where you are? Goddamn. Oh, Caleb, get the fuck out of here. Mark Wahlberg is Jor-El. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh
Guys, Krypton's exploding. Anyway, I think we found a Krypton. Anyway, but yeah, dumb, but he wanted us to talk about it, so let's go. But apparently going on to another thing, Eddie Gathegi's Mr. Terrific, who will debut in Superman, might later go on to join the Justice League. So apparently there's some rumblings and tumblings and rumors that instead of heading the Terrifics, which is what a lot of people have been saying, and a lot of people have been like talking about, speculating, that instead he's going to be joining the Justice League. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know you care so much.
I dig it. I'm down for it. Hopefully I like this character when I see him in the film. I don't see why I wouldn't. Everybody else seems to be very excited for his debut, so fine by me, gang. The more the merrier.
Hell yeah. But I mean, he was in Justice League Unlimited as a Justice League member, so it's like there is some like precedent there. So I mean, yeah, fuck it. Why not have him join the Justice League? That would be awesome. And I mean, I like Eddie Gathegi. I mean, he was the unkillable mutant who they killed, because that makes sense. Fuck you. I mean, X-Men First Class, great movie. Fuck you for killing the unkillable mutant. Eat a dick. Anyway,
that's fair.
But yeah, I like Eddie Gathegi as an actor. I think he'll be a great Mr. Terrific. I mean, he already looks fantastic in the role. So let's fucking go. Anyway, but now we're getting more merch, guys. We're getting more merch, and look at this suit. I want this lunchbox. Do you want this lunchbox, Liz? Oh no, she left. Oh no,
I'm here, but I'm eating.
Sorry, nobody cares if you're eating. I was eating fucking graham crackers before. It's fine. It's fine.
It's a little behind the curtain. Every time I leave, gang, it's because I'm eating.
Anyway, would you buy this lunchbox, Liz?
No, it's ridiculous.
But it's great. And look. Okay, if you had a kid, would you buy this lunchbox for them?
I mean, if my kid wanted it, yeah, but it does nothing for me.
Okay.
If it was metal, maybe.
But again, we get like a cool look on this.
Doesn't even look like him.
I mean, they gotta like Photoshop it and shit. But then we move on to probably the biggest story in regards to the future. But apparently, our boy David Cornsweet as Superman, will feature at least 2 major cameos in the future, with one of them being in Supergirl. I think that was obvious. Which one do you think the other movie? Now, keep in mind, this is coming from Jeff Snyder.
Yeah, we don't like him.
So
what's
fuck
with people
him.
with the last name Snyder, regardless of how it's spelled?
Yeah, just fuck any dude in regards to DC named Snyder because they want to ruin things. So fuck him. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt, even though he loves to scoop bullshit out of his anus and hand it to us on a silver platter. So, but here's the thing. It does make sense because, I mean, David Cornsweet was in the UK around the time Supergirl started filming. So it's entirely possible that he does make a cameo. And it would make sense, like, before Supergirl goes on her fucking mission or goal or whatever, that he's there for like a hot sec and then fucks off and then it's her flick. So I think that makes sense. I don't
think he's gonna be in the beginning of the film. I think he'll be in like the special end credit scene of it, if anything. At least that's what I would fucking do. That'd be the smart move. Let her have the whole film and then throw in a little nice surprise in the end credit scene.
Sure, that could work as well.
I know. It's great. It's a great idea.
But I mean, I could see like her being on Earth. She just arrives on Earth and like she's
I mean, it would be him kind of like passing the baton from his thing to that thing.
Yeah.
Fine. But no.
But let's say Jeff Snyder is right once out of the 10,000 bullshits he spews. If like looking at all the announced projects, what other movie or show do you think Superman would make a cameo in?
Somebody mentioned The Authority.
That makes sense.
So okay.
Because the other movies are The Authority, Brave and the Bold, and Swamp Thing. And then the shows are Waller, Lanterns, Paradise Lost, and Booster Gold. So out of all of those,
makes sense to me because we've got Nathan coming in as one of the members of the Lantern community in his film. So Lanterns would make sense. Waller wouldn't make sense to me.
No, I don't think so either.
What were the other ones you said? I'm sorry.
So the other shows would be Paradise Lost, which doesn't make sense because that's taking place 10,000 years ago, and Booster Gold.
Booster Gold would make sense. Lanterns would make sense. Brave and the Bold, I don't think that would make sense either because I feel like the way you guys talk about it, because I don't know fuck all, but the way you guys talk about it, it seems like they're 2 very different tones, like tonality. Like so that would make sense to me. So yeah, maybe I think for me it would make the most sense for Lanterns only because I know there is a lantern.
Yes.
There is a guardian. There is a guardian in the film.
I think with Lanterns, that's going to be like very like earthbound and like very grounded. So I can't imagine someone like Superman showing up. So if I were to take a guess, like if this is right, I don't think it is. But if it is, then I would say The Authority, because that movie is based on the idea of like the complete 180 of heroics in regards to Superman. Because that's what James Gunn wanted The Authority to be the next movie after Superman.
Okay.
So, where it was like going to be like the people who view heroics as more like the ends justify the means kind of thing, and big anti-heroes, that very different views of morals and justice and all that. So it would make sense that like maybe Superman would come in and be like, hey, what the fuck are you fuckers doing? And then he fucks off and then they continue on with the movie. So I can see them doing that, but I can't outside of that. Like maybe he shows up for like Batman in like a post-credit scene, like, hey, Batman, let's have a big belly burger. Let's go. Because that has been done in the comics where it's like him, Wonder Woman, and Batman are all eating big belly burger together on top of a rooftop, and it's very cute.
So is that where Marvel stole the shawarma idea from?
Probably.
Okay.
But yeah,
I think just for you, John.
I think he, whether it's in the beginning or a post-credit scene, it would make sense that Superman shows up in this movie because Superman, Supergirl, it works. I'm excited for Superman. It would be cool if he showed up. I'm on the fence about Supergirl. I want to be more excited, but I'm like iffy on it. But even then, it could be cool. But again, at the end of the day, it's Jeff Snyder, and it's most likely bullshit.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But speaking of lanterns, apparently it's not simple and it's not a rule that Jason Ritter is going to apparently be cast in lanterns. And he's going to be playing Kelly MacDonald's husband in the show. And Kelly MacDonald, allegedly, the rumor is that she was an old flame of Hal Jordan. They kind of stopped seeing each other for whatever reason, and then she went off to have her own life. He went off to have his own life. And now, like, it's many years later, and it's like an awkward situation. And either, like, she cheats on her new husband with Hal Jordan, or she's like, no, I can't have a relationship with you because I have Jason Ritter here. So, are you a Jason Ritter fan? Do you not care?
Sure.
Or is it interesting?
He seems all right. Good for him.
I think, I mean, I like Jason Ritter. I mean, he was great as Dipper Pines in Gravity Falls. So, you know, I always like that. I mean, John Ritter was, you know, a TV legend. But Jason Ritter, you know, is making his own legacy. I know, like, the Nepo baby thing has everybody pissed.
Kristen Ritter's pretty great, too.
Is she related?
I think they're, like, cousins or something.
Now I'm curious.
I'm going to Google it.
Okay. So am I. But
not related.
Not related at all. But still, we still like Kristen Ritter.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that in my brain, they'll always
headcanon, they're like fourth cousins 3 times removed.
They're somewhere on the tree.
It's fine. It's fine. Anyway. But yeah, I think this is really cool. I like Jason Ritter a lot, but again, this is coming from our boy Jeff Snyder.
Why do we give this guy airtime is what I'd like to know.
I don't know. Dan, why did you give me these stories? God damn it. Anyway, so we know that Kelly MacDonald is in the show. That was confirmed. But further details remain under wraps. However, it is worth noting that the Hollywood Reporter describes Sheriff Carey, who is Kelly MacDonald's character, as a no-nonsense woman, of course, because it's either a no-nonsense woman or a well-written character. It's one of the two nowadays. Deeply devoted to her husband and in a close-knit town when MacDonald was cast. But Jason Ritter has been in a lot of great stuff, a lot of dumb stuff. I mean, he was in Freddy vs. Jason. Stupid movie, but
we all
I
make
love
mistakes,
it. It's terrible.
John. We all make mistakes in life.
But I mean, I still love Freddy vs. Jason. It's still a ton of fun. But yeah. Again, this is Jeff Snyder. But as we did talk about, Nicole Ari Parker was cast as Jon Stewart's mother, although they spelled Sinestro wrong as Sinsetro. Since guys, come on, like fucking get Grammarly or some shit. Jesus Christ. But if this is true, awesome. But it's probably not, because Jeff Snyder loves to scoop the poopy out of his bunghole and present it to us on his shitty podcast. So this is alleged. This is alleged. At first I thought it was more official. I missed the Jeff Snyder thing here, but then it says, like, right in this article, like, it's Jeff Snyder. Can this guy just fuck off? Please? Grace Randolph and him, please fuck off to the fucking dark dimension. Get the fuck out of here.
Get a life. Get a life.
Get a life. Get a life. We need to add that goddamn clip. Anyway. But yeah, still people in the comments. Jalen Harris has joined us. Fiona saying we're good vibes. Thanks, Fiona. We appreciate that. But Caleb Underwood. Caleb, wait. Caleb finally has a profile picture, and it's Jared Leto. Jared
Oh,
Leto's Joker.
that you know what? That's fine with me. I'm not going to be hating on Jared Leto's Joker.
Get a Life was a great show. Okay, so all right. Send Snyder and Rudolph to the Phantom Zone. It's Randolph, but that works too. But yeah, so we got the biggest stories today was alleged bullshit from Jeff Snyder, but we still have one more thing, so don't leave just yet, guys. But thanks for watching DCU Daily. Still have one more thing. Give us a like, give us a comment, give us a subscribe, and hit the bell. Got to pump those numbers up. We got 20 viewers and 12 likes. Come on, guys, pump those numbers up. That's rookie numbers in this racket, as Matthew McConaughey and Caleb Underwood say. But one more thing. One more thing. As Monk and Columbo would say. One more thing. We got to look ahead to next week. Well, apparently our boy Jack Quaid going from companion to Novocaine.
Novocaine.
He is a man that does not feel pain. And he needs to rescue the girl of his dreams. So we are going to be talking about that. I actually already saw the movie today. And it's a movie. I'm not going to reveal my thoughts yet because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. So we're just going to be. I'm navel gazing, guys. I'm navel gazing according to our boy of the what is it, the fucking showrunner of Daredevil. Yeah. So yeah, very exciting. Our boy Jack Quaid having a hell of a year, already being a companion.
Good for him.
I don't know if The Boys season 5 is coming out this year or next year, but whatever it is,
I believe it's this year. But
we have the CEO of Sex, Jacob Batalon himself. And we also have Amber Midthunder in this, of Legion and Prey fame. Love Amber Midthunder. I think she's a really great actress. And there she is. So, very nice. It has a very decent Rotten Tomatoes score, higher than Nikki 17, ironically. But yeah, Novocaine got an 81 and an 87. So, go watch it. Get familiar with it. So, you can
see it this weekend. Very excited.
Very exciting. Be prepared for us to be talking about it sometime next week, whenever Liz is free.
Monday.
Okay, cool. So it's gonna be Monday. But awesome, great Novocaine. But unfortunately, that's it. Actually, it for the end of the show. We did the show in a little bit more than 2 hours. Ma, are you proud of me?
Good job.
But make sure to like.
Going to bed at a reasonable hour.
Well, let's not get crazy here.
Not John.
Not me. John. I'm going to be like, I'm going to go to bed. I get into bed at like midnight, and then I don't actually I spend like 5 hours on my phone, and then I fall asleep. I know it's not healthy, but is it going to make me stop? Probably not. You're probably going to have to get somebody to get like a baking sheet and just hit me in the head to get me to knock out. That's the only way you're going to get me into bed before 1. So yeah, it's not healthy, I know. But even with that, hey, maybe if we get over 1,000 likes on this video, I'm gonna start going to bed at a reasonable hour.
Sure thing.
Let's do it, guys. Get those likes up so I can
totally
go to sleep.
Achievable goals.
Totally achievable. 1,000's pretty good. We have 1,000 subscribers. That's achievable. Anyway, but that is it for the show. Thank you all for watching. We love and appreciate all of you. Let's shout you out. 1,000 likes for John Sleep Up, please. But we want to say Lenny. We love it when we love Lenny coming in.
Ron, Five-ish, Figure Drawing, Steven,
yes.
TC24, Caleb. Always good to see ya.
Not you, 5-Ash Art. Fuck you, 5-Ash. We don't like you. I don't know why you keep coming back. Anyway.
I mean, thanks for being here. I don't know. Lenny.
DNK Global Studios was here. Yeah.
Jalen, Man of Steel, Manos, I said TC 24 hours.
Oh, sorry. I know like Anthony something was
so
here.
Nice
I don't know.
Mention you twice.
I don't know when
Steven.
he was here. He was like at the very beginning, but I
Steven,
can't go up that high.
Yep.
Anthony Wilkerson. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, you were watching too, buddy. Maybe Hunter Iggy showed up. He kind of comes in for one comment and then gets the fuck out of here. But yeah. But that's it for now. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you all next week.
Thumbs a lot tonight. A lot of thumbs tonight.
A lot of thumbs. We'll see you all next week. Thank you for watching.
Oh, and JB. Thank you, JB.
Oh yeah, JB was also here. And make sure to leave comments after the show. We're going to be trying to and doing that more. This was a kind of a longer show, so we didn't get to the fan comments. But if you want to leave those fan comments, please do so you can be featured on a future episode. But until then, bat nipples.